Hello everyone. All right, we have been talking about the factorial ANOVA, and the example we've been talking about is the impact of anxiety and the method of instruction on learning, specifically learning math or statistics in this case. So I think we ended last time talking about advantages of this multi-factor design, and this kind of set us up for this next slide, talking about really what the analysis is doing. In this analysis, we're really dividing the impact of each independent variable on the dependent variable, and also looking at the impact of the combined independent variable on the dependent variable. So in this example, we're looking at 3 effects in one study. We're doing 3 analyses really in one, so we're really getting a big bang for your buck. So the dependent variable now can be divided into 3 effects. So we can answer this first question: does the type of instruction you engage in, does that affect learning? Second, is math anxiety related to learning? Does that have an impact? And then lastly, does the combination of those two, does type of instruction and level of math anxiety interact to affect learning? So these types of effects are traditionally referred to as main effects and interactions. So a main effect is simply the jargon for that effect of an independent variable alone on your dependent variable. So it would be the impact of anxiety all by itself, so excluding how the instruction was. So anxiety all by itself on learning. And on the flip side, it would be looking at method of instruction all by itself, regardless of your level of anxiety on learning. So that's the main effect. So if you have a 2-factor design like we do in this example, we're going to be analyzing or examining 2 main effects, right? If you were to have a 3rd independent variable introduced, I don't know, maybe throw in year in school. Maybe you're looking at, college students who take statistics as a freshman versus as a senior. I don't know. That's a 3rd variable. So if you throw that in, you'd have a main effect for year in school, and that would be a 3rd main effect you have to examine. Okay. The second thing that you look at then is an interaction, and the interaction is simply that combined effect of your independent variables. So in this example, we only have 2 independent variables to combine, so our interaction is simply looking at whether there's a unique effect of instruction and anxiety on learning. So, Lexi. So here are the data that we're going to be working with. This is actually a figure of the hypothetical data. What you'll see is we have the type of instruction. So here's one independent variable here. And we always have our dependent variable on the y-axis. So x-axis is always here. Independent variable, dependent variable right there. And then we have our second independent variable represented by different shapes. We have blue diamonds, and then we have dark blue squares. So what I want you guys to do is really look at this figure and get a feel for what's going on, because you can kind of see a relationship emerging. In fact, you can see an interaction. Because what we see is that at the level of the classroom, people who are learning in the classroom, it doesn't really matter if they have anxiety, right? Because they perform exactly the same. Their class performance looks like to be around 85 or so. However, for those who are taking the class online, that's when you see performance diverge between those who are high in anxiety and those who are low in anxiety. Those who are low in anxiety, they tend to perform just as well as they had in the classroom environment. So that tells you that it doesn't really matter their method of environment. They're comfortable They can learn under any type of environment, so they're good. But it's those students who have anxiety. Transitioning from the classroom to online significantly decrease their performance. So we can't make this blanket statement that says online learning is bad, because not everybody performed poorly online, right? And we can't say that, yeah, anxiety really impacts performance, because you know what? Right here, everyone did perfectly fine. So what this tells us is that there's an interaction. What also kind of cues you into this is the fact that if you were to extend these lines out, you would have a cross. And whenever those lines cross, if they do cross or if they're potentially going to cross, they literally interact. So that gives you an idea that there is an interaction. Okay, so what this tells you, how we interpret this, is that, well, first of all, is there a main effect? Well, it depends. All right. Does the type of instruction impact on how much you learn? Again, it depends. And when you have to have that caveat, it depends, you know, there's an interaction. Same thing. Does math anxiety relate to how much one learns? When you have to say it depends, then you know that there is an interaction. Okay. So let's talk about how we do our 6 steps of hypothesis testing, but we're going to do that in a slightly different example, and I think I'm going to do that in another video because this is already getting to be a little long. So again, if you've got any questions, always let me know. asikorsky@tamet.edu. You guys take care. Bye-bye.